I'm meteorologist Danielle Moss. Let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday with all of the storms that rolled through the area. Here's a look into Douglas County. There's definitely a lot of damage photos that we have been seeing, not only from our Weather Impact Facebook group, but all across online and in our social media. So this is sent in by Jeff Champion, and you can see there's insulation from a house there, trees on that roof, and that is just the beginning of it. Some trees are snapped. You can see the wood kind of laying there in his backyard. And as we take a look at this clock tower there in Douglas County, definitely seeing some damage on the top of that, on the roof there. And as we look into Fayette County, they actually had a confirmed EF0 storm. Now the National Weather Service, they're still out doing surveys and still trying to figure out exactly what was happening in Douglas and Cobb, as well near Chamblee, and that could be associated with straight line winds or microbursts. But in Fayette County, for sure, there was an EF0 tornado, which means that the winds are around 80 miles an hour. What does that mean? You know, we have to take a look at the damage patterns, and this is what the National Weather Service do. They go out and they see how are those trees lying. In fact, for a microburst, you can see that the trees will be all going the same direction. Sometimes people call that straight line winds. But for a tornado, the trees are chaotic. They have more of a spin to them. You might see some metal wrapped around somewhere because the winds were so high. But it's important for you to know after the survey how they come up with these different categories. So if you take a look at the enhanced Fujita scale, this kind of breaks it down category by category of exactly what you're looking for as far as the strength is concerned. So for an EF0, you can see there 65 to 85 miles per hour. That is a very minor tornado. And while people hear the number 0, they think, oh, that's nothing. But that's not the case at all. Unfortunately, these storms could still do a lot of damage. You can see damage to the gutters and the siding. The shingles are being peeled off, large branches broken, and even some power outages. And sometimes, just like what they saw in Fayette County, it is a quick touchdown and then it goes right back up into the sky, but still the damage is done once that twister makes any kind of contact, whether it's with the trees or in the ground. For an EF1 tornado, this is from 86 to 110 miles an hour. They consider this a moderate storm. So what happens when there's an EF1 tornado? Well, they'll go out and they try to see if some of those small trees were uprooted, were poles toppled over, maybe some broken windows or significant roof damage. These are some of the things that they look for when they're trying to figure out these storms and what exactly happened. For an EF2 tornado, that's 111 to 135 mile per hour winds. That storm definitely doing major damage. It's going to be staying on the ground for quite some time. Most poles will be knocked over, cars can be flipped over, roofs ripped away, and large trees uprooted. It's very important to continue to watch this little scene there for the house. What happens when an EF3 tornado rolls through? This is from 136 to 165 miles an hour. They consider this a severe tornado. That's when most standing objects are toppled over, vehicles are displaced. You can see here that this animated car is on its side. Bark can be stripped from the trees, and entire floors from your home can be destroyed. Another reason why we tell you to get into the basement. For an EF4, 166 to 200 mile per hour winds. This is an extreme tornado. So much of the landscape could be stripped. So grass, any kind of vegetation, it could be stripped away with these storms. Most homes could be completely leveled and cars can be thrown into the air. And the largest category, an EF5 tornado, 201 mile per hour winds. We don't see many EF5 tornadoes, but they are definitely possible. And when that happens, this is catastrophic or incredible damage that you're seeing from these storms as they develop. And sometimes they are long stretched tornadoes, so they stay on the ground for a long time. Here's a look at tornadoes by month. Now, usually when we talk about tornadoes in December, someone might think we don't see a lot of tornadoes in December, but comparatively, this is just the start of our winter severe weather season. Really, October is the month where we see the least amount of tornadoes. So it's another great time for you to prepare yourself and get familiar with things as far as severe weather is concerned, like knowing the terminology between a tornado watch, and that's what we saw yesterday. A tornado watch was issued for our area. That meant that there were all the ingredients there, but that doesn't mean that there's necessarily going to be a tornado. Just need to make sure that you are prepared in case there is one. A warning means that you need to take action. That means that you need to be in your safe place. You need to know that place ahead of time, and that storm is on the ground or radar indicated. And even when we say radar indicated, you need to treat it as if that tornado is confirmed on the ground. That will put you and your family in the safest situation. There's also a tornado emergency, another thing that we don't always see, but whenever you see a tornado emergency, that is a confirmed tornado that is on the ground and making known damage, and that is being reported to the National Weather Service, or maybe even an emergency management office who has communicated that to the National Weather Service. So familiarize yourself with these things so that you are prepared. The more that you know, the more comfortable you will be. Now, what happened in Fayette County, and even as we saw some of these storms moved in, it wasn't necessarily a tornado warning that was issued. Maybe it was just under that tornado watch and you got some straight line winds. Nevertheless, it was a scary situation. So you should treat all warnings, even if it's a severe thunderstorm warning, the same so that you are prepared. This is another way for you to get your family ready for severe weather. Make sure that you know these things. Ask yourself some of these questions. Will my home provide a good location to take shelter? Need to know exactly where I need to go in my home. Do I need to get to the basement? Do I need to go into the bathroom? Do I need to be inside of the walls, inside of a hallway so that you're away from windows? Is there a neighbor, a friend, or a family member I can go to whose house is a little bit more safe? If you live in an apartment complex, being in that apartment on the top floor is not suggested. You saw the damage that can be caused even from an EF1 tornado. You definitely don't want to be on the top floor of there. Next, find a nearby storm shelter that is open. So if you don't have a friend's house, if you don't have a family member's house, go to those storm shelters. Find the storm shelter before the storm arrives. Most of the time you can find that information on our website or even just by typing it into Google so that you are aware. Once you answer those questions into an affirmative, then you are prepared in case severe weather strikes at your home. It's very important to make sure that you know exactly what you need to do and where you need to go during a storm so that you and your family are prepared and safe at all times.